Brooke Pryor, ESPN. She's going to be on Get Up because she's a big-time star while covering the Pittsburgh Steelers. She joins us on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline as we get ready for Week 2 of the NFL season. Let's actually start tonight, Brooke, with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers. I feel like it's the classic case of they read your tweets. And I feel like that's what happened with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's like, oh, did you think that we got figured out? Did you think that we were going to miss Tyreek Hill? Oh, that's funny. We're just going to rack up some points. Thursday night's a little bit different, but I do like the motivation of the Chiefs.
But here's the thing, though, and my network is, I every time I've been on, we've talked about how the Chiefs could be better without Tyreek Hill and how Patrick Mahomes can be better without Tyreek Hill. And so I hear why Patrick's motivated, because there are people out there who are saying that, this Chiefs offense isn't going to be as good. They're not going to be as explosive. He doesn't have the safety blanket.
Brooke.
But it's not me.
It's not you, but there were colleagues of yours last week who said it was a wrap.
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
No, it wasn't me.
But look, all it takes is one person. All it takes is one person to say, I think Patrick Mahomes is trash. That tweet's getting pinned. That's going to be copied and pasted. I mean, anything that says that Patrick Mahomes is not God's gift to football is going to motivate him. But man, I was thinking about this and I don't remember the final score. But back when I was covering the Chiefs in 2018, there was a weird game with the Chargers, like right at the end of the year. And the Chargers came in and beat them in Arrowhead. So while I think that the Chiefs have all the motivation in the world, Patrick Mahomes has all the motivation in the world, those Chiefs-Chargers games are really weird, and they're really weird in Arrowhead. So, and didn't they beat them twice last year in Arrowhead, I believe, or maybe should have won twice?
Mm-hmm.
They were close games both times. So, I mean, look, they're going in there with no Keenan Allen. I think J.C. Jackson, not J.C. Jackson. I'm losing my mind. They're going in there without Keenan Allen. So I'm happy as a Mike Williams fantasy owner, but it's all I'm going to say is take the over.
That's got it.
Take the over. It's going to be crazy. I'm excited to watch the whole thing, even with an early wake up tomorrow.
I'll admit, I thought the Chiefs would not. I never said Patrick Mahomes was trash. I do think they will miss Tyreek Hill. So I'll retort here. Perhaps maybe the people who did doubt Patrick Mahomes, are we dumping the Gatorade, though, just a little bit early? Like, the Cardinals aren't good.
The Cardinals are bad.
So, yeah, there was no money on the table yet. And that's my premise is whenever the money's been on the table, it's been Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Now, I think Kelsey's going to have just a bang up, whatever record Cooper Kupp set last year, I think is in danger with Kelce this year. But I don't know if and it's not going to have a final verdict after tonight either, but I will retort and say, I want to see what happens when the money's on the table. It's one thing to get the Rutgers kid going, but it's another to be like, okay, when it matters, are they going to be able to perform?
I mean, I think that's fair, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the Chargers defense is not going to be the one to challenge the Chiefs here. I mean, Joey Bosa, I'm intrigued to see that. Khalil Mack, I'm intrigued to see that. But I don't think that this is the game that we're going to know how much he really misses Tyreek. But at the same time, I mean, I think McCole Hardman's a good player. They've got Juju. They've got Travis Kelce. I mean, Sky Moore, like you mentioned. I do think that the weapons that the Chiefs have, it's like what Mahomes said last week, sorry if you want to draft anybody from the Chiefs, if you're a fantasy owner of any of these guys, you're not going to know who's going to go off. I'm trying to think if I did draft Travis Kelce, and I feel good about that one.
You should.
But I do think that they have, they're more versatile, I think, and I think it's harder to know who you have to take away. They're like a hydra, like you cut off one head, another head comes right back up. So, and yes, it is easy to say that after week one.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more we'll know after tonight, but I mean, I also have Patrick Mahomes in a league, and I drafted him in the first round, the number 2 overall pick, and I got clowned for that, but it worked out well for me so far.
Brooke, how many fantasy leagues are you in?
I'm in 3.
Okay.
And I'm 1 and 2 at the moment.
I try to be a good coworker here at WRAL, and I unretired from fantasy football after a 10-year absence, and I overthought.
Really
I do what I can. I do what I can. And I overthought because later in the draft, I took Baker Mayfield, thinking the revenge game was going to be the thing. I have Patrick Mahomes too. So I made the decision. I'm going to start Baker Mayfield week 1 against the Cleveland Browns, banking on a revenge game. And then I'll go back to Patrick Mahomes after that. And if you're not watching on WRAL Sports Plus right now, you are missing out on the fact that Brooke is making a face. She is absolutely like,
I had to cover the face.
Yeah, like, it's like, Ovies, are you serious? Did you really do this? Yes, I did. And that blew up in my face. That was bad.
You galaxy brained yourself.
I really did. I really overthought that situation. But the funny thing about the Panthers is, and Giglio and I talked about it earlier in the week, it's just that, you can change the quarterback out. You can have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, and yet the Panthers seem to be doing the same damn things they've been doing the previous 2 seasons. It's like, what are we doing here, guys?
I wonder what the constant is.
Well, gee, what could it be?
I mean, it feels like there's one thing that hasn't changed. It starts with an R and ends in a ool.
Let's put it this way.
With the RH, that's kind of tripping me up. But you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah, basically, I'm at the point now where Matt Rhule is going to have a really great college coaching opportunity midway through the season if this continues this way. But
it's weird. There is an opening in the middle of America. Could Matt Rhule be the next Scott Frost?
It's entirely possible, but this gets to a debate that Giglio and I have had, and we'll ask Brooke Pryor, ESPN, what her thoughts on this. I still think Matt Rhule is the first coach that's going to get fired this season. You, Giglio, are of the opinion
it's Mike McCarthy. That was my pre-flop answer. I'm not changing that one.
What do you think, Brooke? After 1 week of football, who's getting got first?
I can't decide if Dak Prescott getting hurt helps Mike McCarthy's job security or hurts it, because after the way they played in the preseason, I would have said Mike McCarthy. After the way they played for the majority of the night, Sunday night, I would have said Mike McCarthy. Then Dak gets hurt, and you at least get to say, well, he didn't have his quarterback for how many weeks? Let's give him another chance. I think because Dak got hurt, Mike McCarthy gets to hold on to his job, because do you want to change your head coach while your quarterback's out, or even change him? And that's assuming that there's going to be a coach that gets fired in the first 5-6 weeks of the season. That might be a little too soon. But I do think that Dak getting injured extends Mike McCarthy gets him through this year, and then they make a change. So I think that Matt Rhule, in that case, I think Matt Rhule's first. Although, shoot, if Nathaniel Hackett keeps blowing these last minute situations, he may not be long for this world. They're obviously not going to fire a first-time head coach in 2 weeks. But man, Twitter really wanted to. So. Who's to say?
Yeah. Well, and Brooke Pryor, ESPN, is joining us here on the OG alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. Whether it's Hackett or what we're seeing with Bill Belichick to a certain extent, you can really tell sometimes is the quarterback the one who's really helped you look like a genius, or was it kind of you? Because we can tie this into Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, where as Giglio likes to point out, the standard is the standard, and the team at least tries to live up to said standard. And while it was a wild game against the Cincinnati Bengals, they still found a way to win. The revamped defense and everything else. Some questions at the quarterback, but the defense seems to be the thing that's going to stir the drink for the Steelers this year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think that Mike Tomlin is an example of someone who is a great coach no matter what the quarterback situation is. The year that it was with Mason and Duck Hodges, they nearly made the playoffs. I think that Mike Tomlin he's learning how to evolve as a player's coach. He's always been a player's coach, but I look at the things that he's done so far this year, getting on Instagram. He's in the locker room all the time, talking to guys after practice, after walkthrough. And not in a way that he's just passing through, like on his way to his office or something. Like, he really takes time to go around and talk to all these guys. He's playing music during warmups and practice. I think that he has kind of unlocked how to get in touch with these guys, how to relate to them, make them want to play for him. Did you see the celebration in the locker room after they beat the Bengals, dancing and everything? It's kind of like Brian Daboll is taking a page out of Mike Tomlin's book here. And I think that that's really exciting. we weren't even talking about the Giants, but when I saw Brian Daboll dance, the first thing I thought was, that's a little Mac Brownish. But the second thing I thought was, guys respond to that. I think that's the way that coaches have success in this league, is by getting your players to buy in, by having them trust you, and then by celebrating with them and being with them, and not being this like deity that's all the way up here and the guys that you're coaching are down here. I think that's a mistake that Urban Meyer made, and a lot of guys make. And I think that way of coaching is on the way out, and the way that guys are going to have success, no matter who your quarterback is, no matter the talent you have, is by being a player's coach. And not everybody can do that. Trust me. There are guys that do not have people skills that are incredible football minds. But to me, that's the way forward. That's how I would respond if they were my coach.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, joining us here on the OG on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline. You mentioned Nathaniel Hackett. You did not mention Russell Wilson. Man, the knives are out for Russ. The room has completely turned on him in terms of the NFL audience. What have you noticed about our NC State's own Russell Wilson and his treatment here after week 1?
I mean, look, the first thing I noticed was that suit. That was terrible. That was so
awful.
Bad.
You think he picked it out?
No.
I hope for his sake he did not.
Yeah.
It's actually better than wearing his own jersey to the facility.
Well,
I'll say that.
A 1A, 1B. It's really close. The narrative around Russ is so interesting to me, because he gets booed going into Seattle when, look, he brought you a Super Bowl. He got you back to that game. Your team didn't want him anymore. There were guys in that building that were saying he's lost a step. And then he comes out against Denver and he kind of looked like he'd lost a step. And guys, they were right. I think that he did not do himself any favors. Nathaniel Hackett did not do him any favors by not playing him in the preseason. I think that this is no, you don't want to risk injury, but I think the stat was quarterbacks that didn't play in the preseason were 3-8 last weekend or something like that. It was not good. I just think that I've never been a huge fan of Russell Wilson, which as a UNC grad, I'm sure that comes as a huge shock to all of you.
Well, it's not like you wrote a column bashing his fake senior day.
I did not.
That's our other friend, Jonathan Jones.
Yeah, no, I do recall him doing that though, and I would co-sign that one if given the opportunity. Look, I do think that he's lost a step, and I thought that I didn't think it was a great move by the Broncos when they made it. They're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah. And
when the opinion of him in Seattle is not that high, it is a big risk to take, and it is not paying off so far. It's a lot of money, and it shows too that Hackett clearly didn't trust him, or just maybe he galaxy brained himself too in the way that he went out to kick a 64-yard field goal and waste all that time. So I was not impressed with Russell, and I haven't been for a while, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. But he didn't do anything in that game to prove otherwise.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN, covers the Steelers, and you'll be on Get Up tomorrow morning, right?
I will be, and then this just in the afternoon. So wall-to-wall coverage.
You are in the car wash. Very exciting to see. All right, Brooke, we will talk to you next week.